Bears
shocking.
coming off a
He
bye.
literally stole my take.
Playing the Commanders with Jaden, who was trying to come off of a shot to the ribs that knocked him out of last week's game. He did not practice today. Vegas, Nick is reporting, does not think he's going to play. Caleb's opponents, weeks 3 through 9, Brew, who you were not impressed with.
No.
So is this a must-win against the Commanders, who are 30th in opponents' passer rating?
Can I make a question real quick? Shouldn't it be like golf, where the winner goes first?
No, you know what it's going to be like around the horn. You're muted.
Wow. Thank you, Wiles. It's a must-win for Caleb if Jaden plays. If Jaden plays.
Okay.
And I get it, it'll be easier if
Marcus
Jaden
Mariota
doesn't.
plays, he
If
doesn't
they,
have to win?
This is about stature. This is not about the standings. This is about who is the man.
Oh.
Last year, the number 2 pick was better than the number 1 pick. Did it happen again? That's what everybody's saying. That's what everybody's wondering. And Jaden, I know Caleb's played well lately. He's been playing really well. But Jaden has played well from the jump.
True.
This is Caleb's nemesis.
How well did Jaden play last week?
Pretty well till he got hurt.
He had 6 yards.
He got hurt. He threw 2 passes.
Right, so he didn't play pretty well.
I thought he played
He was the
well.
second
he was running
leading
the
rusher.
heck out of that football,
And
if
then
I
he got
remember correctly.
Okay.
All right, so this is a must-win because this is about who is the man in this class.
Okay, it's great.
Is it Caleb or is it Jaden?
To be clear, so I understand, but if it's Caleb against Marcus
Not a
Mariota,
must-win.
he can lose.
Yep.
I like it.
Would be a bad loss,
Weird.
but he could lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that logic. So Caleb,
Wild,
it's just a
he always goes
it's just a
I know,
must
see,
win.
Wilds gets it.
It's a must win. I don't get it, so that's what matters. I'm up right now. It's a must win for Caleb. Look, a lot of this start of the National Football League from week 1 to week 6 was all about Jaden Daniels. Oh, look at the throw. Look at the reads. Look at him take this hit. Oh, hit your guy down
Offense
the sideline,
reminds
win
me
the
of
game.
Baylor.
He was thriving. Offensive Rookie of the Year was just slipping out of your hands every single time we saw Jaden Daniels. And you know what? Whether he plays or not, you know what this will show everyone watching? Maybe you're tougher than him. And you believe you're better than him. So
course.
prove it. Prove it whether he's on the field, whether he's not, whether Brew just thinks you got to beat him, when the reality is you need a win to keep in pace with what's going on in your own division. It's a must win, Caleb.
Yeah, it's
just like I must beat Brew every single time in this scoring segment.
You got it. You
Must
got to give me
win.
this one.
You're unmuted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's obviously a must-win no matter who's playing quarterback for Washington. Because if Caleb, no matter who's playing quarterback for Washington, if Caleb wins this game and plays well, he takes the lead for Rookie of the Year. If Jaden plays and Caleb, who in his last 3 starts, they're averaging 32 points per game. He has 7 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 123 rating, 74% passing, 250 yards per game. He will overtake Jaden. And if Jaden doesn't play and Caleb wins, he'll overtake Jaden because, Brew, what's the best ability? What is it?
Ability?
What? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the Bears, you guys can boo-hoo about their schedule all they want. But when you guys were mocking me for picking the Bears to go to the Super Bowl, it was predicated on a 7-2 start because, if you remember, I said, find me the tough defense they're going to have to beat. And we found 2. The Patriots aren't wrong, and the Niners may be wrong again. So he's going, they do play tough teams on that right-hand column, but the only tough defense, definitively tough defense is Minnesota, which we didn't see coming into the year. So yeah, it's a must-win.
Okay. For the Chicago Bears, what Brew is saying is 100% correct. 100%. They're acting like that they don't know what he's talking about, which they're gaslighting him right now. Because these are the same conversations that everyone has had about Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow, Josh Allen versus Lamar. Like, it's this head-to-head. So, yeah, in a way, if Jaden Daniels isn't playing, but Caleb Williams loses, it's not like, oh my God, Caleb Williams couldn't beat Marcus Mariota. Like, the schedule, and it wasn't like that. Like, if they lose, right, they lost to the Colts, okay? Nobody was like, oh man, he's not as good as I believe it was Anthony Richardson, right? I'm not sure if Joe Flacco played that game or not. Honestly, at this point, I forget. Like, nobody was saying that. They were like, no matter who was the quarterback, they weren't saying that. And if the Panthers ended up winning that game, they wouldn't have been like, oh my God, Andy Dalton, he's clearly better. And I'm not sure if it was Andy Dalton at that point either, if it was Bryce Young. There's been a lot of bizarre quarterback play around here. So, no. It would obviously be significantly worse if Caleb plays and loses to the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels plays great and balls out and all that type of stuff. But listen, I don't live and die by head-to-head matchups and games. I've said this now for all of the big matchups, the Lamars versus Jaden, Lamar versus Burrow, Allen, all of them. Mahomes versus Burrow. Like, it's like, it doesn't prove anything to me. A singular game does not prove anything to me. So if we want to say, is this a must-win for the Chicago Bears to be able to keep their hopes alive of being able to get into the wild card? For sure. Because, right, the back end of this schedule is going to be brutal. This should technically be one of their easier games. So that makes sense, right? It's not a must-win necessarily. But in terms of perception and Rookie of the Year, because I disagree with Nick. If they win this game, it doesn't mean that Caleb Williams is now ahead of Jaden Daniels. If Jaden Daniels ends up missing like weeks and weeks and weeks, sure. If Jaden Daniels doesn't play and Caleb plays great and they win, I think it bridges the gap and it's almost probably like even at that point, because Caleb Williams did not play good those first 3 games. I mean, that is a fact. And Jaden Daniels continued. And if you even look at the Pro Football, PFF rankings, you'll see that Jaden Daniels is still firmly ahead, right? He's like ranked like 4th highest, or I forget exactly what the number is right now. And Caleb Williams is still low. It's not just about who has the most yards and touchdowns. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. It's never how this works. So especially if you're talking about a close race. So sorry, Chicago Bears fans. Like, Caleb has to continue to ball out like he's been doing these last few games. Like I said, that changes if Jaden Daniels goes down for like 2, 3, 4 games. But it doesn't sound like that's what it's going to be. It sounds like he may miss this game, unfortunately, versus the Bears. Commanders versus Bears, which is a bummer. I was really, really, really excited for this game. I thought this would have been an awesome game. 2 great ascending quarterbacks would have been just really fun to watch. The truth is the Chicago Bears should be a better team, right? They should be better defensively. And with Caleb Williams and the weapons that he has to work with, should be better. The big equalizer is that Jaden Daniels has been playing great, and Cliff Kingsbury, more likely than not, is a better coordinator than Shane Waldron. So it just would have been a fascinating matchup to kind of see what this game looks like. But yeah, if you have Marcus Mariota playing and you're going up against Caleb Williams and the Bears, I agree with Brew. If they lost, it would be a bad loss. But in terms of like perception, it would be a young team with a rookie quarterback losing a game, right? Like it wouldn't be like this devastating thing here. So that's why it's not a must win for Caleb by no stretch of the imagination. I think it would only have really been like a must win if Jaden Daniels was playing, because then it would have been perceived that Jaden Daniels beat you. And again, it would have been a must win for other people, for the perception, not for me, right? Like, I wouldn't have seen it as a must win. I could have Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels beat Caleb and still be like, oh, Caleb played better that game. Caleb was the better quarterback, whatever it may be. It's not always just one or the other in that regard. So yeah, people are definitely very obsessed with these one-to-one matchups with quarterbacks and pitting them against each other. But it's obviously a lot more layered and complex than that. But, as I talked about on the herd, the schedule, if the Bears can win against the Commanders, the Cardinals, and the Patriots, right, if they can close out those 3 games in a row, right, essentially win 6 in a row, they just have to win like a handful more of games and they should be locked into the playoffs, right? If they drop the Commanders, then it's like, okay, it just things start to kind of get a little bit harder from that point on, right? You really got to win the winnable games more than anything. But the truth is that it is there for their taking. I have no idea how they'll fare against the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions, right? I really, really don't. And then who knows what's going to be going on with the 49ers by week 14. Is Christian McCaffrey playing? Did they get Debo, right? Like, what's going on there? And then the same thing is with the Seahawks. Are they fully healthy? They've been dealing with all their injuries. And then maybe by the time you get to week 18, it's like, did the Packers just close out the division? Are they locked and loaded in the number 1 seed? I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying, like, are they resting their starters now? Or is there, however the wild card is unfolded, they're locked and loaded too, no matter what, whether they win or lose, they're already in the playoffs. They already got their spot. So Jordan Love and company are all sitting. Like, you just don't know how those final 2 games will really look, mainly week 18 more than anything. Or maybe it all comes down to winner takes all, right? Green Bay and the Bears are fighting for the final road, right? You know, for the final spot in the playoffs. So that second part of the season, you know, is definitely going to be pretty unpredictable for so many different reasons, quite frankly. So that's why right now what is predictable is, hey, you have the Commanders. They're a pretty decent team. Their starting quarterback is down. Taking advantage of this, right? So the Bears are in a more must-win situation. But Caleb Williams himself, in terms of his perception, I mean, I give this guy the rookie grace. So, I mean, he could lay an absolute egg and be awful and go 10 for 20 and throw 110 yards, and I wouldn't be like, see, he's overrated, he's done. I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that happened, whatever. What are you gonna do, right? Like, so there's just too much intensity around it all. But it is a shame. We were definitely, if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, we are definitely robbed of such an awesome moment between these 2 quarterbacks. I know these fan bases are intense towards one another right now. You definitely have the Washington Commanders fans not liking Caleb, and you definitely have the Chicago Bears fans not liking Jaden Daniels. And so there's that rivalry is brewing big time. So this would have just been a great game, and hopefully maybe Jaden Daniels pulls it out and ends up playing. But if not, it should still be an interesting game nonetheless, considering what Marcus Mariota was able to do against the Panthers. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears versus the Commanders? Do you think this is a must-win for Caleb or a must-win for the Bears, or not at all? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.